What's up everyone, I'm Twisted. This week's PBE patch brought us Eternal Aspect skins for Diana and Leona. These are the second and third skins of this skin line, with the first being Zoe's, which we saw last year. These skins are based on the canon world of Runeterra, but they don't represent their respective champions. Instead, these are actually the aspects themselves, as is evident from the voice lines of the skins. Speaking of which, that's the topic of today's video. These voice lines are full of references to the lore, and since Riot hasn't explored the region of Targon in a long time, we'll go over most of its lore in this video.
Mountain Dweller, let the divine give you purpose.
Targon is home to many tribes and many beliefs, tied to the stars and the cosmos. The most well-known are the Solari, who worship the sun, but there are also the Lunari, who worship the moon.
Child of the moon, my teachings yet elude you.
Mount Targon itself is the tallest peak in Runeterra, and this mountain is connected to the Celestial Realm, home to the aspects, powerful cosmic beings. These aspects can deem certain mortals worthy, and thus they become hosts for their power. As I said, these new skins are not actually Diana and Leona. These are the actual aspects of the moon and the sun, not their current hosts.
I traverse this world wearing many faces, shining in fullness, striking in shadow.
Here the moon is obviously referencing the many faces of the actual moon, but she might also be talking about her many hosts throughout the centuries. Diana and Leona were both members of the Rakor tribes, but while Leona embraced the beliefs of the sun-worshipping Solari, Diana questioned them. Despite this, they became quite close, but Diana sought answers, and eventually decided to climb the mountain. Leona followed her, only to find her ascending at the top. At that moment, both of them had been chosen by the sun and the moon, becoming their hosts. This gave Diana the knowledge about another faith, the Lunari, and she sought to confront the high priests of the Solari about it. They called her a heretic, and Diana, losing herself to the aspect's powers, killed them. She now seeks to find a way to show the Rakor tribes that the Lunari and the Solari are not meant to be foes, while Leona seeks to preserve the dominance of the Solari, but also help her friend not lose herself to the aspect.
Do not let the splendor of the sun blind you to your calling. You have questions, great-hearted warrior. Let us settle them. The sun placed her hope in you, yet you fail. I do not choose an error. Rise, prove me thus.
Here we have the moon's interactions with Leona and Diana, which confirm that these are indeed the aspects and not the champions. The line about questions is a direct reference to Diana's lore and the questions she had about what the Solari were hiding.
Fight for life, or shatter beneath my shield. If life endures.
Across every sphere, life must endure.
Now we are going to learn a bit more about these two aspects. Both of them value life and fight to protect it. I believe Diana here even hints at the possibility of life existing on other planets that aren't Runeterra, which is quite interesting.
Let the stars tremble. The golden sun stands alone. Let there be light, because I remain. For all who still burn, for all who remain. Let the golden sun be your constant. Still moving, still burning. It matters not that we fight alone, so long as we fight. Every battle, great or small, begins as a refusal to end.
The sun is all about perseverance, resilience, and willpower.
Darkness is not itself wicked. It shrouds my movements and cradles my secrets. Can you bear the fullness of my truth? The moon sees all you have done and all you shall do. Though swathed in night, my eyes are open. Secrecy is shelter. My vision quells doubt. My mysteries are revealed to the worthy.
The moon is about wisdom, secrets, truth, foresight.
Her will unwavering, my wisdom infinite.
And here's the moon saying what I just said.
I chart the ways yet unseen. Before us lay many paths, intricate, radiant. The one I choose will lead us to triumph. The paths I forge need not be understood. I hold all knowledge. I am all truth.
The moon has many quotes about there being many paths and her having the knowledge to guide people through them, which again goes back to her wisdom. But here we can already see a bit of the aspect's hubris, which will become more evident as we dive deeper into their voice lines.
If mortals carry but one thing, let it be their will to live.
Like I said, the sun is about perseverance, hence why she's compelled by mortals' will to live.
Our dance continues, sun and moon in perfect step. Watch as our enemies are undone.
Hear the chorus of sun and moon, our voices, an untiring hymn against the silence.
Here we have their quotes when starting a match together. Notice how the sun mentions dancing, while the moon mentions a song.
Silver moon, your blade fulfilled our ancient vow.
Golden sun, your shield lights our age-long way.
The following lines are when they score an assist together. The sun mentions the moon's blade, while the moon mentions the sun's shield. This is the first time we hear the terms Silver Moon and Golden Sun. These seem to be one of the many names or titles used to refer to the aspects of the moon and the sun. The same way we might call the aspect of War the Warrior or Pantheon, or the aspect of Twilight the Trickster.
You still shine, Silver Moon, but no longer reflect my light.
Is it inevitable that our paths diverge, Golden Sun?
We were meant to burn away the darkness, not each other.
It is your own blaze that consumes you, Golden Sun.
Here we have their quotes when seeing each other on opposite teams and when killing each other, hence why their lines are about them not working together. I don't think there's much here besides that, but of course this does mirror the current relationship of Leona and Diana. They were supposed to work together, but currently aren't.
The old ways are dying. A new world cries out in birth. All existence is under siege.
The aspects deliberate the eons away, while the abyss devours without pause.
These are probably the most interesting lines in my opinion. We don't know much about the sun and the moon, who they are in relation to the other aspects, but these lines seem to put them at odds with them. The moon says the old ways are dying, and the sun says the aspects waste time deliberating. Both of these lines end with them mentioning their fight against the void.
So, you have chosen to see reason, aspect. Then stand at my side.
This line from the sun shows that the aspects are not completely on her side, hence why she's commenting on one of them being on her team in-game.
The other aspects tried to contain my fire, so I gave it form, breath, and eternity.
Here the sun says the aspects try to contain her fire.
Constellations, though beautiful, are fixed in the firmament. We can no longer stay in patterns known.
In this one, the moon says that they can't stay in patterns known, meaning things need to change.
Consensus is a circle. Thus, I break free.
We have the sun saying that she has to break free from consensus, likely referring to the other aspects.
Forsaken by my kin for daring to act.
And finally, we have a direct line from the moon saying she was forsaken for daring to act. It's impossible to know what all of this is about, since this seems to be something brand new. Perhaps this is teasing new lore to come that will shine some light on the history of the aspects themselves.
Mortals are instruments, plucked to our song. We deathless learn from those who fight to survive.
I burn not for worship, but to light their way.
And here we see a bit of how they see mortals. I think this meme from Invincible describes well the relationship the aspects have with mortals and everyone they use. They care about them, but mostly because they need them. They're useful to them, though obviously not all aspects see mortals equally, and some do care more about them than others.
Fickle girl, I do not trust the power of Twilight in your hands. There is gravity to our mission, light-hearted Twilight. Do you feel it at last?
I held it open, O world-skipping Twilight. You sealed it shut.
Let's go over all the other hosts now, starting with Zoe. Zoe is a playful and mischievous child, and this is exactly why she was chosen by the aspect of Twilight.
Twilight moves against us. Then the final battle truly begins.
I welcome change, Twilight, so long as it is in my favor.
Twilight is quite unique. This aspect is all about change. Its host is tasked with warning others when cataclysmic events are coming, but of course sometimes it is the aspect itself that brings changes. For example, being responsible for giving mortals a way to end the Great Darkin War.
You touch every truth, Twilight, yet embody none. Twilight, you arrive uncalled, but not unwanted.
Twilight, you will not interfere between day and night.
Even now, Twilight, you serve no shape.
From these voice lines we can see that the other aspects don't fully trust Twilight, which makes sense since they are quite unpredictable and their presence usually means bad news.
You stole the power of war, spear soldier.
Next we have Pantheon. After climbing Mount Targon, the aspect of war deemed Atreus unworthy, and so he took control of his body and sought out to defeat the Darkin that still roamed Runeterra. And it was during its battle with Aatrox that the aspect itself was defeated. But surprisingly, Atreus remained, and he would later face Aatrox again, reigniting the powers of the aspect and defeating the Darkin. This is why the moon says he stole the power of war, because he now wields the aspect of war's powers without its influence. It's very likely that Pantheon will eventually also receive an aspect skin, as we have already seen what the warrior looks like in Legends of Runeterra. Hey, if you are enjoying this video so far, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later.
Can you truly bear the Protector's mantle?
Tariq was once a Demacian soldier, one that did not enjoy all the responsibilities of his position. One day, his curiosity led him to explore some ruins, leaving his fellow soldiers. Unfortunately, a battle occurred and the other soldiers died, and so Tariq was going to be executed for abandoning his post. Thanks to Garen, Tariq was given another punishment, the Crown of Stone. He would have to climb Mount Targon. This usually gave the punished an opportunity to leave Demacia and start a new life, but Tariq, seeking atonement for what he did, actually climbed the mountain. At the top, he was deemed worthy by the aspect of the Protector and became its host. We can't talk about Targon without also talking about the Void. The origins of the Void and its beings are a mystery. What we know is that they despise reality and existence and are set on destroying it. This caused the aspects to intervene, looking for ways to stop the Void from consuming all of reality.
Armed with moonlight, minds ever ready, we face the great unmaking.
There is no peace in the great unmaking. I silence your unmaking. Each orbit of the sun delays the great unmaking.
The Great Unmaking is obviously referring to the Void. This exact term is also used in Zillion's bio.
To the abyssal realm, life is an abomination. We disagree.
That ever-hungering abyss, may it starve beneath my silvered blade. Abyssal vermin, I bar you from the heavens. Cry vengeance. We face abyssal vermin, the threat to life itself.
We can really get a feel for how much the sun and the moon are set on stopping the Void.
Mortals, demons, demigods. We all stand between existence and the great unmaking.
It's interesting for the sun to mention demons here, makes me wonder if even the demons of Runeterra are somehow part of the aspect's plans. We do know that Twilight might have meddled with some of the primordial demons, so who knows.
If all else fails, I will yet rise. The last beacon that burns against the end of all things.
A cosmic war rages beyond mortal squabbling. Will you fight for a higher cause?
The Cosmic War is obviously their fight against the Void, aka the end of all things. Now that we've talked about the Void and how the aspects stand against it, we can move on to Aurelion Sol. Aurelion is a cosmic being, and the creator of many stars, including the ones Runeterrans call the Sun.
Bound, and still you ignite the stars.
Your knowledge is needed in our war. You will wear our crown.
The aspects commanded the ancient Targonians to craft a crown as a gift to Aurelion. But this turned out to be no gift at all. The crown was stuck to Aurelion, and with it, the aspects were able to command him to do their bidding. The main reason, as far as we know, for the aspects to enslave Aurelion was to use his powers against the Void. This came in two ways. One of them was simply commanding Aurelion to seal the rifts from which the Void's influence spread onto Runeterra. The second way they used Aurelion was by stealing his knowledge of the sun and its cosmic powers. We'll get to why in a second, but this is what's referenced in these quotes. He was bound so that the aspects could steal his knowledge of the sun to fight the Void.
The Forger of Stars, turn to ash underfoot.
The only outcome of your defiance.
I called upon you, Star Forger, and you roared with silence.
And these lines are obviously from the perspective of Aurelion being their opponent in-game, but they also reference how Aurelion was not happy being enslaved, and is patiently waiting for the magic of the crown to fade so he can be free and have his revenge on Targon. Also, something curious to mention here is how the aspect of the sun is called the Golden Sun. This is quite literally, both in-universe and out-of-universe, Aurelion Sol's name. Aurelion Sol means Golden Sun.
For too long, I marveled at the splendor of our sun disk.
The aspects stole from Aurelion the knowledge of the sun and its powers. With it, they ordered the construction of the Sun Disk. The Sun Disk was used to channel the power of the sun and create immortal god warriors, the goal being to use these warriors against the beings of the Void. So yes, the Shurima Ascended are directly tied to the aspect of the sun. I mean, kinda, we don't really know what's the actual relationship between Aurelion Sol and the aspect of the sun. We know Aurelion Sol created the star known as the Sun, but did the aspect also predate the star? Or did it only come into existence after it was created? Again, we don't really know.
We shaped you to endure eternity, Sunborn. Immortality was no gift. It bound the God Warriors to this world.
An immortal legion shall march in our image, proud as the sun, ruthless as the moon.
These quotes about them being made to last eternity and being immortal are quite interesting, once we consider that while their bodies would last, their minds remained mortal. And mortal minds were not made to live for so long, especially not after enduring so much tragedy and trauma.
Sunborn, you burn with my fire, but not my purpose. You struck true, Sunborn.
God Warrior, you've much to learn in the ways of immortality. Sunborn, my faith in you wanes.
There's not much to say here, these are mostly just in-game flavor for stuff like kills and assists, but it does show a bit of how the aspects see the God Warriors.
Though the disc was buried, the sun continued to rise.
The empire of Shurima eventually fell, and with it, the Sun Disk.
Slaughterous butcher, you profane the gifts we gave.
So this is what became of my God Warriors.
Left without a purpose, the Darkin would eventually start conquering the world, later even turning on each other before Twilight intervened, giving mortals a way to defeat them. This being by channeling the powers of the moon. Quote, what the sun made, the moon will unmake. The sun's quotes do make it seem that she was quite fond of the Ascended, but perhaps this was only the case because their power was connected to her. Again, this meme.
Betray the sun and earn the moon's fury.
For a moment, ascended once more. A desecration of my divine fire.
Again, just in-game flavor, but we can see that they are not too fond of the Ascended now that they have become the Darkin.
Let the Ascended remake the Sun Disk in their image. They are capable of wisdom.
Lead, God Emperor, or we will.
In modern days, the Empire of Shurima is alive once again, following the resurrection and ascension of Azir. When he returned, he restored the Sun Disk.
Your knowledge will serve us, honored scholar.
This line about Nasus is quite interesting. Nasus did help end the Darkin War by giving Sataka's weapon, the Chalikar, to the host of Twilight. And while most Ascended were either killed or sealed in their weapons, Nasus was spared. Perhaps the aspects have a plan for him, or intend to use his knowledge for something in the future, as this line implies.
The Watchers hunger without end, devouring the realms. I rise to end their feast. There are Watchers who slumber beneath the ice. One fracture, and their hunger awakens. The ice thins, Lissandra. How long will it hold?
Let's go back in time now, to before the Empire of Shurima even existed. In the ancient land of the Freljord, Lissandra made a deal with the creatures of the Void known as the Watchers. She would prepare the world for their arrival, and in exchange they would grant her people incredible powers. This is how the Iceborn came to be. Obviously this was not a smart move. When the Watchers finally arrived on Runeterra, Lissandra had to sacrifice everyone she knew to entomb the godlike beings beneath a deep layer of magical ice, where they still remain. Surprisingly, the sun has lines mentioning this.
Long have I circled this world, descending only when the Watchers first stirred.
Here we learn that the first time the sun ever descended upon Runeterra was when the Watchers first arrived. With Avarosa, Lissandra's sister, losing her voice to the first host of Twilight, we can start to see how long ago the aspects began having hosts in the world of Runeterra.
The end you delayed has still arrived, Iceborn. Your ice could not halt the blaze, witch.
These are just flavor, but obviously the aspects wouldn't be too happy with a mortal helping the Watchers like Lissandra did, even if she did try to stop them. Returning to the present, let's talk about Bel'Veth. You see, the void doesn't just consume without consequences. It itself is also affected by reality, changed by it. And after such a long time consuming it, something unique began spreading, still tied to the void, but something that desired to create something new instead of just consuming. This is how Bel'Veth came to be. She wants to create a new existence in her image, but for that she must first rid the world of the Watchers who want to destroy it.
Even your own kind recoil from you, Empress. Useful today, still abhorrent tomorrow. Empress of nothing, return to oblivion.
These lines reference all of what Bel'Veth is, an affront to her own kind, useful in that she's also against the Watchers, but at the end of the day she's still a creature of the void and thus an enemy of the aspects.
You cannot fight for life clad in hunger. Void made, yet sun struck. I had such hope for you, Void Hunter.
Kai'Sa was a young Shuriman girl whose village was consumed by the void. She managed to kill one of the void creatures, but its skin was somehow bounded to her. As the years went by, it grew into the shell we see her wearing today, one that must consume to survive. She began using this skin to protect the world from the void. This is what this line is referencing. She's void made, as she wields the powers of the void, but she also fights against it. So her intentions are aligned with the aspects. That's why the sun calls her Sunstruck. Kai'Sa's last story saw her meeting Bel'Veth and being tasked by her to defeat the Watchers. It is very surprising seeing Lissandra, the Watchers, Kai'Sa and Bel'Veth all being mentioned in these voice lines. Makes me wonder if Riot is planning on finally continuing this storyline.
You seek my moonstone, Tidecaller. Prove yourself worthy.
Nami is the Tidecaller of the Marai, a Vestian tribe that lives on the waters near Targon. As the Tidecaller of her tribe, it's her job to find an abyssal pearl and give it to the host of the moon. In return, the host gives the Marai a moonstone, which they use to defend themselves from the creatures of the void. However, the current host of the moon is gone, so Nami has set out to find her. That's what's referenced here.
Gentle twins, harden your hearts for all I must ask of you.
Aphelios and Elune are special twins born under the Lunari faith. Aphelios trained to become an assassin and Elune a seer. After a confrontation with the Solari, Elune dove deep into the temple known as Marus Omegnum, unlocking her full potential in the process. From within the temple she could reach Aphelios thanks to a substance he consumed during a ritual. This allowed her to arm him with powerful magical weapons, and together they were able to defeat the attacking Solari. They would later find Diana's weapon, and are now seeking her to bring her to the Lunari. This could be what this line is referencing. The aspect could be asking them to find Diana.
My Eclipse is rageful and righteous! Mortals and gods are all unworthy. I alone bear the wisdom to save us. Do the stars spurn me for my defiance? Let them! I am done waiting. Where I must go, neither the sun nor stars may follow. This world must live on. I demand it!
Finally, here we have some lines from the Eclipse variant of Diana's skin. This seems to be a what-if scenario where the moon just goes crazy and tries to end the void regardless of what she destroys in the process. I say what if, but honestly I have no idea if it is or not. Last time I said the skin was a what if, it turned out to be canon, but at the same time this is just a gacha variant, so who knows. And that was it for the voice lines of the new skins. It was nice revisiting Targon's lore, and I do hope Riot decides to do something with the region in the near future. Did I miss anything? Let me know down below. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. It's free and you can always change your mind later. I'm Twisted and I'll see you guys in the next video.